Well, I'm pretty sure that the big guys and gals have been itching at the bottom of their hairy feet to have a little wee time with us out here.
Us too. Us too. We've missed our time sharing with you all. We still spend some time with them, and we came out with coffee, in fact, and came across this leaner. So we thought that was kind of interesting, might be worth sharing. Trying to see if I could see anything around it. You know, it's been, what, November, Thanksgiving-ish, since we last spoke with you all, and I know it's really hard to understand how it can go from one extreme to the other. It's not been easy for us to understand, especially with them still being very present. But Anku has shared that he calls it a cycle of time. And now he speaks on moving into stage 2. Not exactly sure what all of that means, but I have a feeling it's getting ready to ramp up again. And, you know, it's been a lot of patience between trying to accomplish what we have to in our world and waiting for them to be ready to video again and share. So a lot of downloads lately. We've had information on the weather systems, information about off-planet like atmospheric presence to the degree of millions, in the way that he says it, millions of, I guess the coin term would be ships, but just in that next layer, the weather being something to help keep us from visually seeing that in most places. And I have a feeling that the density of the activity is where the worst of the cloud coverage and consistent rainfalls and things like this have been. So it all goes together, but not all of those are a negative thing. And that's very important to understand, because I also feel like in what he gave, was it last year, speaking on the high potential that our own officials, media, and so on might try to stage events that made it look like we were under siege by energies that might well be here to help us. So we all need to have discretion in that and really feel it in our bodies as to whether what we're hearing is resonating truth within us. And that's ultimately on everything that we're getting input on, because very little of it, in the way that he communicates it, is accurate. Accurate is the word he gives me. Definitely not 100%. Maybe this much truth and the rest, you know, room for error. But, oh, what else, Ken? A lot of activity.
Well, before we move on, I wanted to point out the correlation of this big leaner that's here now. And this tree is where we've been leaving items for them through the last few months. And it's kind of neat in its own regard.
See, I've got a
I
light.
think it's got a fairy house in the bottom of it.
We noticed some of these big trees were beginning to develop the wrong holes. And this is how those trees before were.
Now we're only about 50 yards off the side of the barnyard.
Mm-hmm.
And want to introduce you to
Oh yeah, this is our new buddy.
puppy here.
This is Gunner. And he is 5 months old. But he's the great protector of the back lot, and he's already cornered plenty of coyotes and keeps a lot of things at a distance.
It's a funny thing though, because I know when the big guys come up around here, he doesn't bark or go crazy like he does when he smells something like a coyote. He'll stay on the porch and he'll just sit there and observe.
Yeah, and you just see him. He'll put his nose up and you'll just see him kind of watching an area. But no, he seems to get along with the family just fine. And they seem to like him, so it all works out. But we've had, in talking about having had our plate full, you have to really watch what you're manifesting in your life, because one of the beautiful things about praying for abundance is that you may get abundance in all things. That doesn't necessarily mean prosperity in a huge way. We're okay. We've still got our bellies. But, there's a distinct difference in that. And I think there's been a powerful lesson in this pause, if you will, in that there's a lot of responsibility for all of us as individuals to create wisely. Be cognizant of what we're creating. Be cognizant of more than the ego side of it, more than, how can it serve on a greater level. And maybe, I know for me, maybe there was some of that I hadn't gotten a lesson in. But I'm pretty sure I got it now. It's been good.
I guess the other thing to make note of is we've got a little breeze out here this evening, so if you catch some wind noise on the microphone, it's not howling by any means, but it is a little blustery.
And we did test everything beforehand just to make sure that we didn't have static. So if we have interference, it's electromagnetic, possibly a little wind.
Where are they at, buddy?
Where's that?
That's what I thought.
He's looking. With the family, it gets to the place where the more you work with these types of individuals and energies, just speaking or thinking of them is like hitting a guitar string, and it sends out it's almost instantaneous. If I am thinking of a question for Anku, it is no time before he's present to respond. If I'm in session, he's quick.
Connection.
And he knows. Just if I have session, he's been pretty Johnny on the spot. I think we had one session, he said, "Sorry, I'm late," and it kind of tickled me because it's, their sense of time is totally different than ours too. And 6 months or a year for us is a drop in the bucket to a lot of these more ethereal, higher vibrational energies, because they just don't. I see eyes. That may be a critter. I don't know.
It's funny to watch him because he'll catch the scent.
Mm-hmm.
And he's found more prints out here
than we have. We follow him.
But that's what he does when they're near. He'll stay right next to us and just watch.
Now, if it's a predator, one morning we had coyotes, and he never quit barking.
Had them cornered up in the corner of the pasture against the fence.
What you smell, buddy? Hmm? Are those your friends? Our friends? Where are we at, guys? Over here. Okay. So, oh, I just got chill bumps. We're close over here in this little, kind of in front of us, but just a click to the left.
Trying not to trip. You're the one with the light.
Yeah. Do you need it? I can walk beside.
I can feel the snakes under my feet. I'm all right.
If they're not asleep by now. We've literally gone from 30 to 80 degrees this week. It's hysterical.
No, they're not asleep. I moved some tin over behind the Brahma barn the other day, and a little
one.
8-inch, 9-inch little baby snake came out from under it.
It's that time of year. Up here.
So I'm curious if you're able to put a description on some of the things that have been tossing and turning you in the middle of the night, these video visions or downloads or whatever you're calling them, some of the picturama.
You know, the other morning I woke up and they were walking with me, and I felt like I was watching myself walk, which is a strange thing, but all I could really focus on were the pants that I had on, of all things, and it went black to green to white, black to green to white, like in a series and a cycle. And I was trying to delineate.
Can you turn that flashlight off, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was, trying to delineate whether that meant, you know, being able to walk in the 3D as well as hand in hand with nature, which we would think that that's the same thing, but it truly isn't. And then the white being more about the spiritual side, or if it was speaking of cycles even in our own lives, where these things, you know, we have to go through a certain period of time, but it's always in threes. And Anku's often spoken of layers, and 3 primary layers between our finite universe, which is what we experience, things having mass, you know, sound, a very visceral environment. And then the next layer is almost like a hub or a ring between our finite universe and that we would consider to be the infinite universe. And it was really fascinating to me because dimensionally he showed that the finite ultimately goes into the bottom end of the 5D, the 5th dimension, and then it goes like from the 5th dimension to the 9th dimension, in that in between, which are definitely higher vibrational energies that we're working with, but they're still ascending and aspiring toward becoming a consistent and continual part of the infinite universe, which is where we would consider that source energy to belong, and the highest of vibrational energies, which are extremely difficult for us to interpret in a way that the couple of encounters I had with some of those higher end energies, when I went back to watch the video, I lie to you not, I gave myself a headache listening to it. It was perfect coming out of my mouth. I understood everything, could see everything, no issue. But when I went to listen to it, I literally got a headache thinking, oh my gosh, we're not ready for this. It was so How would you describe that, Ken?
Well, it would be like trying to throw a 3-year-old into a quantum's class.
It was just that advanced. So, with that information, I made a sound decision not to post it, and did ask Anku if there was a way that he could act as a mediator or a moderator to a degree between those energies and us in this 3D, because dimensionally speaking, it's such a big jump. It would not benefit you or anyone else, us, if we couldn't put it into terms or a translation that we could get our brains wrapped around and get our hearts wrapped around and to apply to our lives. And I feel like he's agreed to do that if and when they do want to communicate. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not trying to hold out on anyone, but I don't think it serves us.
It's like, please dummy it down so it can be palatable, so it can be understood.
If it gives me a headache or Ken a headache, then we're pretty sure that it's signature to the fact that we're not quite ready for that on a consciousness level.
If you were trying to watch 12 different videos and storylines and voices at the same time and keep it all straight and make sense of it, that's just a bare
inkling
description of what it's like when this comes flooding in.
And you feel like you want to say, please, I have 2 ears to accommodate one mouth. And it's not really that extreme, but that's just the sense that it gives. And there's nothing bad about it. It's just so wow that, you know, to me, it could easily cause us to trip, to fall, if we don't have a way to make something applicable. If it's going over our heads to such a degree, then honestly, I think it could be more of a stumbling block to our growth than a benefit. So that's my thought on it. You're welcome to leave feedback on that. I don't try to hold anything out on anybody, but everything inside of me said, not yet, not yet. And there are a lot of energies that are kind of trying and wanting to use that same type of wavelength that the people use. And I'm more than willing to work with any high vibrational energies that are there to edify us, to help us grow, you know, to help us expand and be who we were intended to be. With that being said, Anku's also been touching on what you could call original seed. And, you know, speaking of matters that are more off planet, now trust me when I tell you, I'm not begrudging anyone that has been able to embrace quote unquote alien energy, but I was
pointing the camera down, looking at that footpath between the logs there.
Yeah. But I also have not spent, a lot of focus. And I think it's the word alien. And I asked Anku about it, and he said, unless you consider yourselves alien also, by which case then you would be correct. And I said, well, okay. And I understood what he was saying.
Alien is just a term for unfamiliar.
But they've always described themselves as stellar, you know, which for me, within my body, feels more correct. Because alien gives the connotation of something, I don't know, abnormal. And maybe it's because we've had enough of an exposure to the family that there's nothing about it that feels abnormal anymore. So if you guys are interested in that, please feel free. If you absolutely want us to stay away from it, you know, but I believe that that's part of stage 2, and it might be interesting to see what we can learn, what we can remember, is what he says. So I feel like I'm forgetting so many things. It's been way too long. I apologize. And any of you that have reached out, if I have not yet responded, please forgive me. I've had some crazy 12-hour shifts, and Ken's had about the same, just in a different arena. In what time we are off together, we're just, you know, trying to catch up, trying to spend a little quality time together, which is, I don't know what justifies quality at the moment other than walking in the woods and thinking about our online family. It's been kind of torturous being away in a unique version of the word torturous. They're not far. Come on, buddy. It's something we will talk about. I was listening to some information, and it spoke of off-planet energies and how many of them do not become active or physically active until nighttime. And a lot of that being because they have not only the presence and the visual that doesn't fit in our world, but they also often have this incredible, intense smell. And I started laughing as I was listening to this. And I said, oh boy, you just don't even know. Because that is so accurate. And I really do believe that the closer they get to our 3D plane, the closer they are to visibility, the more pungent that smell. And would also explain a lot about why so many unique occurrences happen at night.
Well, it's kind of like the old Native American saying, never whistle in the woods after dark. You never know what's going to answer back.
Right. That's true. That's true. So, I thank all of you for being here. I hope, pray that we can start getting this ball rolling, and that I just have this feeling that it's going to be this huge outpour of information again. If you have managed to stay with us and hang in there, then I think you'll be delightfully surprised at some of the information and activity that's still present. We will do sit-downs with Anku. I would really like to do the lives again if at all possible. It's a little tricky moderating those and getting the comments posted because it scrolls so quickly. And when I'm in that channeling mode or in that mind speak mode, real hard to watch the screen, catch the questions, and not offend anybody if I miss them. And I hate to offend anyone unintentionally or otherwise. So, thank you again. I hope to see you soon. Much love to you all. And we will be back as quickly as possible. Have a good night. Bye-bye.